When most people think of a FromSoft game, they usually think of the typical third-person action RPG with brutal combat. This style has now become synonymous with the name Souls-like. However, there was a time before Demon's Souls flipped the script on action RPGs, where the studio actually dipped its toes into the turn-based JRPG world. That game was a little Ubisoft-published gem called Enchanted Arms. Do you remember it? Enchanted Arms was released in 2006 for the Xbox 360 exclusively, but came out later for PlayStation 3. It was a full-blown, turn-based JRPG set in a futuristic magic world where you play as Atsuma, a hot-headed student studying to become an enchanter in Yokohama City, and whose right arm holds unique and mysterious powers. What starts as Atsuma and his two friends skipping class quickly spirals into a quest to stop the Queen of Ice, a powerful being known as a Devil Golem, from awakening other Devil Golems around the world. During your quest, you are helped by an ensemble cast of heroes, including Kareen, a noble from London City, her guardian Rygar, and a bounty hunter named Yuki. What made Enchanted Arms stand out even back then was that it wasn't afraid to mix genres and ideas. It mixed technological and magical elements into its world in an interesting way that made it unique, while the plot felt like something out of a long-running anime series, and bounced between lighthearted comedic moments to very deep dramatic tones, which gave the game a very interesting charm. At its core, Enchanted Arms is a turn-based RPG with grid-style battles. However, one incredibly interesting mechanic was the massive list of over 100 collectible golems, which, with enough material, could be crafted and actually become your teammates in battle. Because of this, the combat system had incredible depth due to its large variety of different party combinations. In addition, the game's RPG mechanics lent itself well to its grid-style battle system. In a very FromSoft fashion, battles could be very difficult in this game if your party wasn't prepared properly, so it made it worthwhile to actually spec characters into certain classes by bolstering certain skills through their parameters. At the same time, you had to make sure your party worked well together into the grid system because placement actually mattered. Each character had specific move sets and abilities. This made every turn feel like a puzzle where you would try to align your characters properly to get the most bang for your buck. On top of this, certain enemies took more damage to elemental effects, which made it worthwhile to vary your party's skill set. Enchanted Arms was also incredibly visually appealing at the time. It was bright, stylized, and clean, and it wasn't trying to be hyper-realistic, but instead leaned into a colorful anime aesthetic. Enchanted Arms launched in a really weird time period for the JRPG genre in general. Released in 2006, the Xbox 360 had just come out and Japan wasn't totally sold on it, so Microsoft was desperate for exclusive RPG content for their Japanese audience. FromSoftware, who was known at the time for Armored Core, answered the call with Enchanted Arms. It didn't exactly shake up the genre, but for a lot of early 360 owners, especially in the West, it was their first JRPG on the console, which gave it a kind of novelty that's hard to replicate now. It was flashy, colorful, and surprisingly ambitious for the time, but it ultimately came and went with little fanfare. Despite its style and take on the genre, Enchanted Arms had a lot working against it and unfortunately didn't catch on with a majority audience. Many felt that Enchanted Arms was caught between trying to be a serious epic and a Saturday morning cartoon, and while some thought this blend was charming, for others, it was just confusing. In addition, the writing was hit or miss, and the English dub was pretty rough around the edges. Some of the characters were seen as tone deaf or stereotypical, even by 2000 standards, and it didn't help that the story was filled with cliches. Looking back now, one of the more interesting aspects is seeing that FromSoft developed a turn-based JRPG whom they worked alongside Ubisoft to publish. While the game did receive a PS3 port a year later, it wasn't enough to really spark interest in the game, and FromSoftware, they were already moving on to some bigger and darker things. However, looking back, Enchanted Arms stands as a fascinating moment of experimentation. It's a reminder that FromSoft didn't just appear out of nowhere as the kings of the tough action RPGs, but they took risks and tried new genres. And while it might not make it on many top JRPG lists, it was definitely worth looking back at Enchanted Arms and the time when FromSoft had a JRPG game published by Ubisoft. Thank you for watching Game Rant. Don't forget to game on, and we'll see you next time.